For the first time ever, Facebook removed one of the president's posts, Twitter doing the same, both saying the president's message breaks their rules against spreading misinformation about coronavirus. Joining us now at the White House is Counselor to the President, Kellyanne Conway. Kellyanne, good morning to you. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Sandra.
And of course, there is a debate happening whether or not Facebook and Twitter should be arbiters of truth and decide what is fact and fiction. We can have that talk in just a moment, but I want to put up the latest CDC numbers on coronavirus cases in children under the age of 18. Under 18 accounts for about 7.4% of confirmed cases. That is up 6.7% from 2 weeks ago and up nearly 6% from a month ago. So kids are getting this disease, Kellyanne.
Yes, they are, and thankfully, most never make it to a hospital, and very few have died. Every death is a tragedy, every single one, let me make very clear. But those are national numbers, and not every state or even county or school district is the same. That's why you see so many of these parents overwhelmingly, when they're surveyed, Sandra, say, do you feel like it's safe to send your son or daughter back to school? And many of these parents are saying, yes, please do that. And they're being big-footed by one health commissioner in a county or a school board or a few in the teachers union, and I think we have to take into account what everybody is saying here. I'm also happy to report that based on the COVID report I received here this morning at the White House, the overall test positivity rate has declined 8% since last week, and 0 states have seen an increase overall since Tuesday. So as Dr. Birx and others have been saying, we're seeing a flattening. Governor Ducey was here yesterday from Arizona showing a great model, I think, for the country. They had a huge surge in June.
I want to stick to children, though, because the debate right now is over the spread of misinformation by the president about children being nearly immune. Having under 18 kids in this country get the disease 7.4% of the time is not nearly immune. And you want to dial down to specific states and districts where schools are reopening, what's happening with children. I spoke to the governor of Mississippi last night, and he said the kids are spreading it. Listen.
What's happened is that many of these kids, when they started back school early last week, came into the schools. They came in and they had the virus. We actually have 100 students approximately that are quarantined now. You know, those who want to attack everyone look at that as a negative. I actually look at it as a positive. The system is working, whereby we've identified positive cases, we've contact traced those back, and we're trying to protect those kids.
So is it helpful for the president to tell parents that children are nearly immune from this and then have it factually spreading child to child in places like Mississippi, where they've opened the doors to their schools?
Well, in many interviews, the president makes very clear, uses the New Jersey example, information he got from Governor Phil Murphy, a Democrat of New Jersey, that in New Jersey, which was, I think, the second hardest hit state for a while, you had, I'm told, one child under the age of 18 who passed away, and that individual had underlying conditions. That's the information I have. So I think the president is making clear that overall, the average age of those who passed from coronavirus is still at about 78. Over 40% of those who have passed away were in long-term facilities or nursing homes. I learned that in the coronavirus task force meeting in the Oval Office 2 short days ago, Sandra. We had the task force meeting in there. I was there for the entire thing. I listened to Dr. Fauci, Dr. Redfield, Dr. Birx. You know, these are the facts and figures. But I think we also have to make very clear that a lockdown and shutdown may work for Joe Biden in Wilmington. It doesn't work for the rest of the country, and it doesn't work for many of our school children. We can't create a pandemic within a pandemic. We know from many of the health professionals that extended lockdowns and not being in school and pretending that we can replicate that online increases so many other maladies for these children.
And I get that, Kellyanne, and that's another conversation. But the point is, the president in that interview on Fox and Friends yesterday morning said it's going to go away, like things go away. And that is something many people are taking issue with, particularly because his own health experts at the White House, Dr. Fauci, Dr. Birx, and others, this is Fauci's words: I do not believe it will disappear because it's such a highly transmissible virus. So is the president listening to the advice of the health experts that he has at his side?
He is, and they should be listening to him as well. We don't like to hear the first things on TV when we have coronavirus task force meetings in a situation room, a classified setting for an hour and a half, and don't hear certain things there where we can pressure test them and learn as a task force and then hear them for the first time on TV. That's not specific to any one individual. It merely means that the country benefits when we understand the facts and figures here at the White House and they're brought up to the president and the vice president, as should be the case. But let me make this point. You know, when Twitter has, of all people, I'd imagine tens of thousands of people work at Twitter, Sandra. When you have somebody who worked for Kamala Harris come out and announce that you're banning the president's tweet, you're taking it down, that itself shows a political motivation. And I think what many of these tech companies are doing now to the president, to conservatives, the shadow banning, the censoring, the selective engagement is election interference. We got 3 years worth of election security. Now we're going to do mail-in balloting. We're going to shut down the president's Twitter feed. At times, Team Trump got shut down. Yet the Ayatollah Khomeini is up. The WHO, which told everybody in January no evidence of human-to-human transmission of COVID-19, is still up on Twitter. I have a whole list of tweets that are still here, and I'm sure the biggest lie of the last 10 years said by Joe Biden, you can keep your plan, keep your doctor. That's probably in a tweet somewhere.
So let me clarify the White House stance on what exactly you're saying. But first, I'll pull up the Facebook spokesperson on removing that video involving the president. This video includes false claims that a group of people is immune from COVID-19, which is a violation of our policies around harmful COVID misinformation. Kellyanne, you seem to be pointing out misinformation spread by other people, by other world leaders, etc. Are you suggesting that there is a space for Facebook and Twitter to monitor and in some cases delete information that is spread, like the president's or whoever else that you're going to name right now? Or should they not be doing it at all? What is the White House stance?
Well, I think they have to make up their mind. The president signed an executive order about the tech companies. Why do we have the tech overlords telling us what is and is not legitimate on health matters? And they immediately take action against some people and never others. That's selective engagement. If this really is the First Amendment, they always hide behind the First Amendment, then that should be. But remember, the president signed an executive order that has teeth. Just this week or last week, the Department of Commerce sent over to the SEC some additional information that we want more transparency. Why are pro-life videos taken down on Twitter or excluded from Facebook? Why are certain people who defend the Second Amendment? If you don't like the Second Amendment, tell Congress to do away with it. Get a different amendment. In other words, it's selective engagement. Twitter, Facebook, many of these forums are already overly anti-Trump. I think what's happened is that the president has over 200 million followers on all of his social media platforms. He has used it the way no other politician has ever used it, or official has ever used it, and they don't like that. They don't like the fact that he can use their platforms as a way to reach Americans in a way that
that can be debated. But I want to move on to the coronavirus relief package, because as a result of everything we're